Today, we will be discussing sensitive topics, including an ongoing investigation and racial biases. So listeners and viewers, discretion is advised.
Today, we're joined by special guest Chiquita Johnson, the podcast host of Chronicles of a Virgo.
First, we are honoring the life and legacy of Georgie E. Johnson, the Chicago entrepreneur whose Johnson's products changed Black hair care and helped shape the culture for generations.
Then we will be moving into the developing and heartbreaking story of Nolan Wells, an 18-year-old whose family is demanding answers after his passing on Horn Island.
And finally, we'll dig into a Stanford study about AI hiring tools that shows algorithms can systematically shut out Black and Asian applicants. Truly a minority report on every level.
All that and more, along with special guest Chiquita,
on today's episode of the Black and Snurdy Podcast.
Adam has arrived.
Hey, Maurice and Odie gonna take over like Zach and Cody. Black and Snurdy is the best podcast. Gonna boom like Wile E. Coyote. Gonna make magic, they move like they hairy. Ain't talking about mental health, no, it's not scary. You know that she coming up with the astrology. Mo got a comic and that's the best policy. Maurice the goat, talking about animation cause you know. Odie, she moving wavy like the boat. Watching some movies and she taking notes. Yeah, kick back, listen. Black and Snurdy have risen. Upload on a mission. 5 stars, never dissing. Black and Snurdy, ooh. Black and Snurdy, yeah. Black and Snurdy.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Black and Snurdy Podcast, the only podcast where two sexy Black nerds get together to shoot the shit. I am Mo, aka Kid Licorish.
and I'm Odie.
And together we are the aforementioned Snurds here on episode 196 of the Black and Snurdy Podcast. How are you doing?
I'm feeling a lot of different things.
Yes. Mixed emotions.
Mixed emotions. I am, of course, happy to be doing this podcast, and I'm happy that we have a special guest today. But I am also mentally frazzled, and I am physically kind of sore.
Yes.
And not from a good thing, you know. But we're here.
Yes, we are here.
And that is the best that I can say. We're here.
All that I can say.
All that I can say.
Do 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 do.
All that I can say.
Do 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 do. I don't want to be sued, so that's all we can do.
Would we be sued for singing something?
I mean, if we do it terribly.
No.
But no, yeah.
How are you doing?
I am tired.
Yeah.
I am fucking tired and a little bit achy. Partially because of recent events and partially just because of age and also partially because I've been working myself to the bone. But you know what? Like I'm here. I'm doing it. I'm, just pushing myself forward.
Yeah.
Even if it is like the equivalent of one of those broken down horses.
We won't send you to the glue factory.
Yes. Well, first off, please don't. All right. Like, I don't think anybody's using Elmer's glue anymore. And let's be honest, when we were kids, the only reason we were using Elmer's glue was to make those fucking turkey handcraft things in preschool and to do that thing where you pour the glue on your hand rub it on you to feel the residue.
They still do that, and it's so annoying. You can't have glue out anywhere. It used to be you do that in like 5th grade. These kids, 8th graders, they see a glue and they have to pour it all over their hands. Now they're sticky, they can't write, they can't do anything. It's gross and terrible, and I hate it.
Yeah, well, this generation is different than our generation.
It's different.
Yeah, we put the glue down once we hit middle school.
Yes, but they are just...
Arguably before we hit middle school.
Yeah, because I feel like after that, I'd be like, why do I want this sticky glue on me?
Yeah.
Like, it's only been so long that you can let it dry on your hand and try to peel it off to see your fingerprints.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And the last thing I will ask is, as far as just like your frazzled mental state, have you been able to like push forward since all the things that occurred, which we will address later on. Like, how has that been for you?
I mean, I think that I have been forced to push forward or push through.
Same.
Just because like the world doesn't stop just because you'd like it to. I would very much like to be able to stop and process and feel my feelings. But that's not necessarily what is capable to do right now because there's so many things on the to-do list to get done, like the podcast, house things, like life things. There's just always things because adulthood is, again, a freaking roller coaster.
Yes.
But yeah, that's how things go. How about you?
Yeah, it's like Smash Mouth said, the years start coming and they don't stop coming. the hits just keep on coming.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I don't have the luxury of time. I try to make sure to find time to woosah and reset. But I do not have the luxury of time to actually sit in it. Like, I just got to keep pushing forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what? We got each other's backs. We're here. So high five.
On the black hand side.
On the black hand side. Speaking of, how am I going to transition?
Speaking of black hand sides.
But no, we have a very special guest for y'all today. She, as was mentioned in the cold open, she is the host of the Chronicles of Virgo podcast. And bonus points, she is a very close, near and dear childhood friend of mine. Please give it up for my friend and now yours, Chiquita Johnson.
What's up, y'all? What's up?
So happy to have you on here again. As we have mentioned on this podcast, Mercury is currently retrograde.
Yes.
So, there's a lot of redoing, rethinking, reassessing things. And this is an episode that we've had to redo because the first time the audio was messed up. But you know what? That's okay because I always feel like the first draft is never the best draft. And we're going to have an even better conversation than we had last time.
We will.
Thank you for raising the stakes, Odie. But no, thank you so much for being on the show. How are you doing today?
Well, of course, first and foremost, thank you guys for having me back. Second time will be a charm. I can hear. So yes. I can hear and I don't have to fake a move, okay? So I can actually hear this time. But no, thank you for having me back and congratulations again on episode 196, right? So that is definitely a major accomplishment to stick it out thus far and be as successful as you guys are doing. So definitely clap it up for yourselves. Maurice, clap over there.
I have a drop dedicated to cheering.
Okay, we'll take that. But no, I'm doing okay. Just listening in on you guys about how you feel and how you just like tucking along, and I guess it's kind of one of them things where you feel like you're drowning a little bit and you don't have the opportunity and time and space to come up for air, I guess I've been dealing with that a little bit. As I shared before, I have a bulging disc. And it is driving me insane. It has been one of the most painful physical experiences I've ever had to undergo. And I've played basketball and sports all my life, and I've never went through as much pain as I have been going through the last few months. And one thing that my physical therapist actually said to me the other day is a lot of times we take a lot of physical hits and take a lot of emotional hits, and we think that we are solid as rock and we can take all these things, but we have to commit to ourselves, as hard as it may be, to take time out for ourselves.
Yeah.
That's why you see a lot of the young people our age with the hypertension, and
Mhm.
the anxiety is at an all-time high, and the suicidal rates, just a lot of different things. So that's, if I can offer anything to you, because you guys are my friends, I do care about y'all, is the stakes may be high right now, and there may be a lot of stressful things, but just try to find time each day to set aside to just take a few, even if you have to set your timer on your phone for like 2 to 5 minutes a day, take that time to just like really breathe. And I'm talking to myself as a reminder as well, so I'm kind of in that boat with y'all, tucking along, but I have to continue to just remind myself to keep also taking time and space to just focus in a little bit more on myself and make sure I'm okay.
Yeah, I think that what you said is really important, because I think a lot of times, whether, just Black people in general, there's so many things that will happen, and we're just like, we got to get through it. We got to get through it. We got to get through it. And, it's not going to be like this forever. And that's true. But I think all of that stress and anxiety and pain and trauma, etc., it just, it gets stored in your body. And there's been so much research done recently, even when they talk about like weathering, which is a term of like Black women have a weathering to them, like you're constantly being weathered down and stripped down and stressed out, and the toll that takes on your body, which is why it's like you have to let it out, because if you don't, all this autoimmune and stress and hypertension, etc., and these chronic diseases can take you out, because you think that I just have to be strong, when it's okay to be vulnerable, and it's okay to be sad, and it's okay to acknowledge that you're going through things, and that it's not something that you're going to get over. You just have to get through it. Right. And also trying to get through it in the way that's like the healthiest as possible for you, Yeah,
you're both right. You're absolutely right. Definitely top of mind to take care of self, to carve out some time to, allow ourselves to feel these things, to process these things, and give our body some time to heal. And then just move forward accordingly in the most, as you said, healthiest way possible. Yeah. But just sort of shifting gears a little bit. Again, I want to thank you for being on the show. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of time to sort of explore like how you started your podcast and how you entered the podcast space.
Sure. So Chronicles of a Virgo Podcast is my baby. That's my platform. It initially started off as just a blog. I started the blog back in 2019. I was going through a very depressive, suicidal time in my life after enduring a situation, and I was actively in therapy. One thing that I'm going to promote people to do is go to therapy.
Yeah.
Talk to somebody. So I was actively in therapy, and my therapist recommended that I create a blog, because I love to write. I love to explore my thoughts and all of the things. And I decided to try to research how to find this platform for the blog, and it became something. And I wanted to do the podcast, but I didn't know where to start. Didn't really have the confidence to begin. So I just kind of put it on the back burner. And I think we talked about this the last time too. Like everybody was on Clubhouse during the COVID time, and I was in like some random room listening to some guy talk about something, and he played that song by Jay-Z, Encore, and something in me just was like, go on Anchor and do it. And I'm like, Anchor? And I think everybody at some point started their podcast on Anchor, or they know about Anchor. And that's where I started. And it started off as me just thinking I was just going to like pop in a few motivational messages about something I've been through, something I overcome, and just to let people know that like, just because you kind of make it on the other side of things doesn't negate what you went through. Because I was thinking, because I had, my own mental health journey and my own, survivor story, that it kind of erased my experience, but those experiences live on with us. And I just started recording and researching where else to take this, and it just started to flow. I started to network and collaborate with people, and then I decided to bring on other guests that had other stories of resilience, because all of our stories are resilient.
Mhm.
I like to look at us as phoenix in the rising. We all rise from the ashes of our experiences.
Mhm.
So I was like, you know what? Let's just keep going. So mental health has been my thing. I've continued to bring different mental health people on, and I've been on a hiatus for about maybe 2 years now. Um, just because before I end up relocating from Baltimore, I've been dealing with like a lot of grief after losing my grandparents and my father. So I'm making my way back, So I do appreciate you guys for having me on, not only to talk about Chronicles of a Virgo, but just to get into some things, because
Mhm.
we're going to get into some things today.
Oh, we gonna get into some things today. But no, I as I mentioned previously, just to set you up, we are childhood friends. Like, we go way back. I'm talking like fucking
Glee Club.
Glee Club, yes, and Glee Club.
No, because you was gonna try to bypass that one, and now let the people know that you used to be the lead songstress, okay, of the Glee Club for a few songs, okay, because Maurice can sing, y'all. I'm pretty sure y'all know, but Maurice has always had a phenomenal voice, and yes, we have been friends since about 4th grade. Okay, and we met in the Glee Club.
That is absolutely correct.
I love that.
That is mad accurate. Like, look, yes, I can carry a tune. But no, like I was just saying that like, we've known each other for some time. Like, we did lose a little bit of touch, as like adults do, just like people go in diverging paths and whatnot. And like, I had followed you for a while. I saw that you had started your podcast, and I, researched and listened to see what your podcast was all about. And like, I reached out to you, one, to just reconnect on a friendship level, but two, like, I absolutely love and support what you're doing in the space. And I just wanted to take a moment to just shout you out,
Appreciate that. Thanks. I definitely appreciate the support. And I had been seeing y'all clips and listening in when I can, whether you're live on about to say TikTok, Instagram, or if it's YouTube. I just be all over social media sometimes. But I do appreciate what y'all have going on here and the different avenues that you guys have opened up, and the different outlooks on certain conversation topics. I think that's important in the podcasting space, but just being able to just conversate as adults, even if we have different opinions or different perspectives, we can bring those things together and collectively maybe help each other, depending on what the topic is about. But trying to teach each other, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's the best part about having conversations, is that we get to learn new things and change our perspectives, hopefully grow a little bit more than we did before. I did have one question. As a woo-woo girly, I was always curious of how you got this name, Chronicles of a Virgo.
Yeah, because if it's one thing I'm gonna do, baby, I'm gonna stand on being a Virgo. Okay. Listen, I am proud of my zodiac. I know people on social media and in life be like, oh, Virgo's this, Virgo's that, whatever. But I also learned not to put myself in a box by saying, yes, I'm a Virgo, and these things make me a Virgo, and oh, this happens, I'm a Virgo. When it comes to my show specifically, because my thought process when creating the podcast was just to talk about, I guess, like me and my experiences as a way to motivate people, I was like, Chronicles of a Virgo, because mind you, it started off as a blog, me just writing about things, and I wanted to move away from, even though the blog was about like my mental health journey and different things I was enduring at that time, or whether it was about my survivor story, about my abuse, I didn't want to put that on the forefront, but all these things were like pieces of me. So Chronicles of, and I'm a Virgo. So that's how we got there. Even though people tend to think that it is more about astrology, I don't necessarily talk from a standpoint of that spiritual astrology. However, I've had guests that have come on and have talked about it from a healing standpoint, because I embrace it all,
Yeah, absolutely. And that makes sense. And let that just be a quick lesson to anybody who wants to be a guest, not just on Chronicles of Virgo, but also on any podcast, including ourselves. Research the goddamn podcast before you say, hey, I want to be on there, or book me, I'm interested, book me. That's all I'm saying. If you, before we continue and move over to the mess, if you can give anybody a piece of advice from your experience in the podcasting space or in the creator space, what would it be?
I think the main thing would be always show up as your authentic self.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be cliche and be like, be consistent, or yes, be consistent, right? But sometimes a lot of consistency can lead to burnout. And I think people think about numbers a lot of time over just taking care of yourself. But if you're not fully good and in the right headspace, then making content and podcasting should be second nature, right?
Yeah.
Be your true authentic self. A lot of times we see people, whether it's in like the independent podcasting world, or even in like the mainstream world, we see them as one way, and then they lose focus and the insight of who they truly are. And you don't have nothing to stand on at that point. When you remain your authentic self, you will attract people to you that are their authentic selves. You will be able to have these flowing, authentic conversations. And also, you will really draw an authentic base, and not people that just say, book me, pick me, but and you will, it'll make you feel good, it'll make you feel good. So just be your authentic self.
Absolutely. And I absolutely agree. I agree enough to use this drop. Folks, where's the lie?
Take a shot. He's not going to do anything. It's going to be put on these dang drops.
Because I'm being my authentic self.
Exactly.
Hey, I love it.
That might be the title of the episode, Authentic Self. Do it. I will. Again, thank you for being on the show. Are you ready to get into the mess?
Proceed.
And now we shall slide into our pop topics.
When you want a hot meal without a big deal, what are you gonna pick?
Pop topics. Yes. Of course, pop topics. These are the topics that we are going to be talking about. Where would you like to start, Odie?
I would like to start in doing a celebration of life.
Yes.
For a man who did so much for Black people, Black culture, Black hair, by the name of George E. Johnson. So, if you don't know, George E. Johnson was the founder of Johnson Products Co. He was one of the first wealthiest Black people in America because of all the things that his company did. He was born in 1927 in Mississippi. And in 1954, he founded the Johnson Products Co. with his first wife, Joan Johnson. And by 1960, the company grew to command nearly 80% of the Black hair care market. By 1971, he had become the first Black-owned company listed on the American Stock Exchange. And I mean, he just did so many things, and just bringing in Black people to showcase what we did. He was one of the sponsors for the Soul Train, which I don't know about you, but I was watching that every Saturday morning with my family. And Afrosheen, come on. That's one of the things that even till today, you're still using, the hair oil, the grease, they had a blowout kit. You were I think most Black Americans, at the very least, were using his products, even if they didn't know that they were his products. But, you know, he passed away at 99 just this past week. And we just have to celebrate him because
Absolutely.
being a Black man born in Mississippi in 1927 to go from someone who was just doing like menial jobs and apprenticeships to creating one of the most well-known Black companies and long-running Black companies. It was purchased by what is that company? Procter Gamble, I believe, in 2014. So then it was no longer Black owned. But think of that timeline from 1954 to 2014, having a solely Black owned and run and operated company to be able to bring your products both around the country and globally being used. I mean, that's amazing.
That is absolutely amazing. And it speaks to the legacy because, quite frankly, and I feel like Chiquita can feel me on this one, if we don't have him, like, do we ultimately get Just For Me commercials that play on the radio all the goddamn time in the 90s?
Listen, Just For Me was the first perm. Okay, because unfortunately, I'm not a natural girly, but I remember when I got my first perm and I'm like, what is this? So just like Odie said, like, you probably have grown up on some of those products like myself, not knowing that these were a part of his hair brand, right? Because I was a perm Charlie, but I was also a hot comb. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sizzling on your ears.
Yes. So the Afrosheen, all of those they're very present in my household. But like you said, you think of the long legacy of like where he began and then when the company was sold, and it only makes me think about like a lot of the nuance of the hair industry and some companies. Without saying their names, of course, they were in business for a few years and they were booming, and then you hear that they sold business like just like that. So I'm glad that he was able to like hold on to what was rightfully his, because a lot of times as Black people, when we create these brands and businesses and things and we sell them, we're no longer the face of them. Like they find a way to wash us away. But with him and his organization and everything that came out of it, they couldn't do it.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
just being a Black entrepreneur in that time is like, it's already iconic just by the fact that you were able to do that.
Absolutely. So for Georgie Johnson, we celebrate your life, we celebrate your legacy, and we celebrate with the celebratory drop. R.I.P. Yeah, R.I.P. Yeah, R.I.P. Yeah, R.I.P. I just want to point that out. It is a celebration of life, and that is the vibe. Okay, that is the vibe. Yes. So moving right along from celebrating the life and legacy of a icon to sadly more disturbing, upsetting, and unsettling news, we are going to be talking about the story of Nolan Wells. So just to sort of set the scene for those listeners who are not aware of the current developments and the current story that is taking place, Nolan Xavier Wells was a 18-year-old Ocean Springs student athlete whose body was found on Horn Island in Mississippi after the 4th of July weekend. Apparently he was on a trip with some friends. His family has, retained Ben Crump and is asking for a thorough, transparent investigation into his passing. Cases still currently active, and the cause of his passing has not been determined as of yet. Just to sort of give a brief timeline as to what we know right now, and also just to give a warning for this particular section of the podcast, we are going to be getting into some upsetting and, troubling conversation. So you have been warned.
Warning.
Timeline wise, on Saturday, July 4th, Nolan went by boat to Horn Island with his friends to celebrate the 4th of July. Around 3 p.m. on July 4th, he was last seen on the island. That night, his mother reported him missing. Between July 5th and 6th, local, state, and federal agencies searched the area. The morning of July 6th, a U.S. park ranger found a body at the northwestern tip of the island. Also on July 6th, the family had confirmed his passing. On the 7th, the autopsy was scheduled. And as of right now of this recording, the case still ongoing.
Yeah, and it's really sad. Obviously, any person losing their life, especially someone as young as him, everything that people have been saying about him was he was a bright spot in the community. He was loved by his family, his friends. He was a great football player. He was actually, according to Ben Crump, who the family retained as their attorneys, he was actually planning on trying out for a D1 school because he was currently in community college. He went to transfer, play football, and, seemingly it was looking optimistic that he was going to be able to do that. And so Ben Crump put out a statement basically saying that the investigation remains active. They have hired their own private investigator and medical examiner to do the autopsy. And then, as this has come out, people have felt like it's very weird. He's a lone Black boy with a group of white friends in Mississippi. And it seems that some of the friends are, connected politically. And how could this happen? And one of the boys' mothers, who is a judge, who's seen here, is her statement. And in it, of course, she says that, her family loved Nolan. They've known each other for a long time. He's gone to school with her son. And the family is heartbroken by what happened. But I'll read you one part of her statement that she says, "No one in our family is trying in any way to impede with the investigation by law enforcement or to otherwise hamper the family and law enforcement's quest for answers. Warren was interviewed by the Jackson County Sheriff's Department and cooperated fully. He saw Nolan last at around 3 p.m. on July 4th. They left around 4:30 p.m. when the boat was taking on water and they had an issue with the bilge pump. Nolan made a decision to stay on the island and return inland later with another group of friends. Yes, I am a judge. I also value transparency. I apologize if anyone was offended that I deleted my social media. There was no nefarious motivations in my deleting my social media. Social media has a lot of positives, but a whole lot of negatives." And so all of these various things surrounding the case, they seem weird. They seem, like something untoward could have happened because you go out with your friends for the holiday. They leave the island with you by yourself. And you being the lone Black person in the group, it just feels very weird and it's unsettling. And it's very unfortunate that this situation has occurred and that we even have to, spend the time talking about it. But at the end of the day, we know that if we don't talk about it, it's not going to necessarily get the coverage that it deserves.
Absolutely.
And so, Chiquita, I was wondering if you had any thoughts on this story and what's happened.
I'm like sitting here shaking, like let's just re-listening because it's been everywhere. And I think it's very triggering for one, because this is not the first instance where we've seen not only a young Black person, but a Black person in general that have been in a predominantly white space that have turned out deceased, right? And the result of it has always been no foul play, and nothing comes of it. There's no consequences. There's like no justice for that person. And the caveat to that, or you have seen situations a lot recently where Black people have been found deceased hanging from, trees, or
rolled up in gym mats.
Rolled up in gym mats, and it goes on, and once again is ruled as no foul play. So my question to, I guess, the justices and the Justice Department would be is, well, what is considered foul play, right? Anytime that it's always involving a Black person in amongst a group of white people, and there's an unfortunate passing, it's no foul play, you know? And I think one thing that's also been really upsetting is just like the dialogue around this whole conversation, whether it's, you know, other fake journalists, you know, that's not, I think when you take a journalistic oath, whether you really go to school for journalism and things like that, I think as a journalist, you need to just be transparent, right? Yeah. And it's apparent that people have taken sides, and then people in the comments, and it's don't make this about race, but it's always about race. Yeah. In these situations. So it's very unfortunate, again, that we're here, and, you know, my condolences and heart goes out to the Wells family in the community, because it's going to be a long road. You know, we just kind of went through this down similar down in Texas, you know. It's kind of a little reverse though, but still it became a big thing. So I just hope that justice is properly served, and I hope that, you know, Ben can do his big one in this, and, you know, Noah's legacy can live on in a most positive way despite other things that are going on, you know. Yeah.
I do want to touch on something that you spoke of, Chiquita, where, like, I have seen a lot of actors within the space saying, like, don't make it about race. Like, it's not necessarily about race. And I find that particular phrasing and comment only comes up when it's a very obvious case that there is an element of race in the situation. Like, we're not talking about some sort of innocuous thing where it would just be like, I don't know. I can't even really think of a situation that would warrant someone to say, don't make it about race, you know, because quite frankly, I've only ever heard someone say, don't make it about race. It's not about their race, when there is a historical and objective and possibly subjective viewpoint that can be looked at of the thing that has a racial element to it. Like, to say, like, hey, let's ignore the racial aspect of it is ignoring history, is ignoring a bunch of data and references that already exist, that we then look at this current situation and to just say, like, oh, there's nothing racial at play here. There is a racial element. If you don't want to have that be a part of it, that's on you, but you are actively ignoring a crucial component to the puzzle piece that is possibly the bigger picture of this story. I believe there are some, you know, clips or what have you.
So it's interesting that people, when they talk about this, they seem to act like it's an isolated incident, right? But we know that one thing that you mentioned, Chiquita, are other people that have had similar situations like this happen. Like, for instance, Tamia Horsford, who went to a sleepover with her friends, never came home again. Police involved. We still don't have any answers. They just ruled it no foul play. It was an accident. And then this video, which has been coming along my timeline around for the last week or so, and I saw it. I thought it was fucked up. But seeing what happened with Nolan Wells, it made it even more prescient to what's happening now.
Hey, your mom's on me. My dad's always worried about you. My dad's in prison. I think that's why. Your dad's in prison. What the hell? Am I looking at you? Bro, you have a fucking life jacket on your feet.
I'll just wait.
Bro, you have a life jacket.
No, I'm black. It doesn't matter. Come with me.
Bro, yes, it does.
Bro, I'll just find a way.
Hi.
Yeah, they think I'm about to.
Bro, you have a life jacket.
I'm gonna die.
I'm standing right
Hold
now.
on, talk to the side. Hold on.
Hammer right here if you want.
Yeah, I might drown.
You won't drown.
You want
Try
down.
to get over there.
You're not gonna drown. I promise you won't drown.
There you go.
Thank you.
What's your name?
Okay.
What's your
Oh, my
name?
name is Marquise. Everybody calls me before. I go to like the
Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was okay getting over here. They think I'm about to swim back. I can't even swim.
Doing a good job right now.
Talking around 1 minute. And it's my first time here.
Oh, first time? Well, welcome.
Yeah.
How'd you get over here?
Yeah,
They made me take that way over there, and they had 2 life jackets on.
I'm glad we ran into
Oh,
you.
you fucking pussy.
I'm never coming back with y'all.
Yo, we told you if you're coming, we had a life jacket.
A life jacket.
Oh.
Same thing for a big kid. This for a little kid.
That's scary though if you're not used to water.
Yeah.
I got to swim in my pool in my backyard.
Yeah. Spring water's different.
It's a lot different. You know.
We're almost there. I know, it's really strong. You're welcome.
Yeah, I'll never come back with y'all.
No, what to say?
Fuck, his friends are fucking assholes.
I went to run! No! Oh my god! Maya, what the fuck?
Okay, so for our audio listeners, for additional context, the first clip that was a part of that clip, essentially, that was a young black boy who was left stranded by his white friends. They were trying to egg him to swim on. The black kid said that I don't know how to swim. And they were calling him all types of pussy and, making monkey noises. And a nice white family who was in a canoe helped him to be able to cross. The second clip was a little black girl at a party, a pool party, it seemed. And they essentially grabbed her and thought it would be funny to, push her, not push her, like just get her, grab her and take her into the pool. So there's that.
I think it's like these are the things where, like, I've seen so many comments by people that I felt like were insensitive, telling the mom, like, oh, well, he shouldn't have even been around those white people all by himself and da da da. But as someone who grew up in the school that I went to was predominantly white, like there were probably in each grade I had max 10, that in 10 would have been a lot, between 5 to 10 black kids in my class, right? And so just because you're black doesn't mean you're going to hang out with each other or have interests or that you're always going to be together. So there are times when you're at these events and you might be the only one. For a good, until I went to Howard, I was the only one for the most part. Like in high school, I had more black people, so I had able to choose, but a lot of times that is not possible. And so even if you do live in the middle of Atlanta, if you have a white friend group, you have a white friend group and you should be safe to be with them. However, it is the white children are not viewing the things they're doing as harmful. And it's because of the way that racist and racism has been, I feel like, portrayed within this country, even to their parents. Their parents have not learned any better from their grandparents or their great grandparents or their possible slave owning great grandparents, And so here we are, a total disregard for another person's safety and thinking it's funny to cause harm just because.
Right. Chiquita, any thoughts on the clips or the overall?
Child, raising a child.
I apologize if this is triggering.
No. Raising a child is difficult, right? There's not a handbook, but during this era now that we are in, this whole administration, I feel like it's 10 times harder.
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that you honed in on the fact that, like, just because you go to a school and it may be a group or population of y'all doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to hang with the black people, right? I think I've been through private schools, Catholic schools. I've been around a lot of mixed races, right? And I think sometimes at that age, you go through an identity crisis too. And I think ultimately it's up to the parent to kind of like gradually walk your child through those different stages of life. I think what we're seeing now is one thing that you also said is white children are not safe spaces because they don't fully know how to be a safe space, because the things that they are doing and saying, they don't see them as harmful, because if the roles were flipped, it wouldn't be harmful to them, right? That second video, I remember when it happened. If you happen to go way back to the original, actually from like the person that posted the woman in the video, them boys were shouting horrific stuff to him about his father being in jail and a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm glad that you guys caught the full that audio of like the monkey sounds and all of those things. And something that really stood out was the fact that the life jacket didn't fit whether y'all brought it or not. It was for a younger child. Yeah. So y'all brought him out there to leave him. That I can only believe that, you know what I'm saying? And I think also another thing that plays an important role is location. They were in Florida somewhere. We know what's going on in there, you know? So I just think that we can preach to the rooftops as Black people what it takes for us to trust a white person and for white people to have safe spaces, but it's ultimately up to them to cultivate that. And it'll be a choice. And it always starts at home. Kids don't just, come out and be like this. It starts at home.
We see how that family came up, helped him, and said they were assholes. We would never do that. And that's now a conversation they're going to have with their kids. And it's unfortunate that they're going to have to do that. But you see that it is possible for you to not be an asshole if you actually care to do so, Exactly. Final thoughts on the story of, Nolan Wells, those two clips, this whole, conversation that we are having. I'll start with Odie. Final thoughts. My heart is with the Wells family. Please, you can go to the mom has a Facebook post up in regards to their GoFundMe. It's created by someone named Aaliyah Dennis. So if you're looking to support them, help with their legal fees, that is definitely somewhere that you can go. And just my heart is with them, and I hope they get justice. Yes, we'll include the notes in the show notes. Chiquita, final thoughts, final sentiments.
My heart and prayers, sending condolences, like I said, to the family, the community, and to people in general. Just be better people. Just be better people.
Absolutely. For me, my heart goes out to the Wells family. And I just have a very important message as somebody who has been in these situations and as somebody who has that history and experience to all the Black children, boys, girls, whatever you identify, doesn't matter. For all of y'all, if you are in a friend group and you are the only Black child, stay woke, be aware of your surroundings. I don't care how long y'all have known each other. I don't care how close y'all are. Always be aware. Like, the best case scenario, they just see you as just a person and they don't even factor your race in whenever they're hanging out with you, which is a downside because there should be at least a consideration and acknowledgement that you are the only Black person in that friend group. Mm-hmm. Worst case scenario, there might be just any number of things that I could say or that I could imagine because I have history and there's history references that exist in the world. All I will say, I'm not going to say they're not your friends. I don't know. I will say just stay woke, be aware of your surroundings. In another world, I could send this message out to the white friends who only have one black friend and tell them, hey, that's not enough. You're not doing enough. Maybe have 2 or 3 black friends. Maybe at bare minimum have 2 so that the one is not the only person in there. But that's not what the world that we live in. For the black kids, boys, girls, however you identify, if you're the only black person in that friend group, stay woke, be aware. That's all I will say. Yeah. Sorry, that was heavy, but it had to be said. Moving forward a little bit to something still upsetting, but also upsetting in a slightly different way.
Not so heavy.
Not so heavy.
Yeah, not so heavy.
Or
Not
just
so,
regular annoying bullshit.
which is also kind of heavy, but
It's-
still, AI is being racist.
Surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise. Who would have thought
Who'd have thunk it?
a technology built on the garbage that is the internet
Mhm.
would end up being a tad bit racist?
Yeah. Odie, do you want to set us up with this?
Sure. So everybody knows we have talked about this on the podcast about how we have been looking for jobs. It's long, well documented, right?
Yes.
And so last year or earlier this year, there was a lawsuit that came out against Workday about bias and discrimination in the way that the candidates who had been rejected, being black or over a certain age, or a certain gender, etc. And then now, there has been recently a study done by Stanford, which shows that AI hiring tools can produce racial bias and systemic rejection in job screenings. The study examined millions of applications and found that Black and Asian applicants were disproportionately affected. So this was published by Stanford May 26th of this year. It looked through 3.4 million people, 4 million applications, 1,700 job postings, 150 employers, and 1/3 party hiring vendor. So it showed that 26% of Black applicants and 50% of Asian applicants applied to positions where the AI system discriminated against their racial group.
15%.
Oh,
of
what did I say?
Asian. It sounded like you said 50.
I'm sorry, 15.
Just wanted to.
And so it's just showing that AI screening tools are shaping who gets the interviews and who doesn't. This has been a big deal since AI has come out because 90% of U.S. employers use AI screening tools. And they estimated about 40,000 more applications could have advanced if Black and Asian candidates were recommended at the same rate as the most favored group, aka white.
The whites.
And I think this is when we talk about equity in technology, this is a big thing, right? And who knows how much the anti-DEI campaigns could have affected this? Because my thought process is if the AI is trained on the internet and information that they can gather from the internet, perhaps they're reading all of these terrible and false documents complaining about DEI and how these applicants are just getting it just for shits and gigs. And perhaps is that impacting the quality or what they're grading against,
Yeah.
I had learned recently that with some of these job application sites, because they do use the AI to scrape your resume, is that the AI, it will hold on to your resume regardless of how many different ones you put in. And if it's already marked you at a low score, when it puts you through these other jobs, it's not checking really against your resume to that job. It's just checking at the score that you have.
Exactly.
And so this is why civil rights and technology are so intertwined right now, because look at all these people who are so many people are unemployed. so many Black people, so many Black women, and how are we going to move the needle and get equity if we already have the computers against us?
Absolutely. Chiquita, your thoughts on this?
AI needs to be stopped. Like, no, my job, without saying what company I work for, because I do believe that my jobs, they still practice they have a DEI program.
Sure.
I will say that. I'm one of the larger companies that do. However, I will say before I relocated from Maryland to North Carolina, I had been actively looking for another job that I could like be remote, all of the things, because my company in Maryland was only based in Maryland. And I was getting denials left to right. And I hadn't applied for jobs in almost 10 years. So I was like, this is so unfamiliar to me. This is like, I hadn't applied. AI wasn't really a thing back in the day, you know? And I always felt like them denial emails come too fast. I'm like, how is it? I got a master's degree. What's going on? It was just something. I really started to think it was like me. And honestly, what I did, I know some people now that actually either they won't put a picture of themselves on their LinkedIn, or there's certain things that they will take out of their job profile that would give away the fact that they are Black. For me, I didn't neither, but I did go in and I reworded a lot of things. And it worked. You know, it worked. I think, I don't know. I don't want to say I bypassed anything with the system, but I did reword a lot of things differently. But I do know people that have been actively looking for like a year and a half, 2 years. So everything, all the stats that you have just read out, it's starting to make a lot of sense. And I think the most interesting thing you said is with all of the anti-DEI, like could AI be potentially like picking up on all of these things and then just being like, nope. Even though we know that like we wasn't necessarily really the ones at the top of the poll benefiting in the first place. But yeah, I think AI is going too far. It's going too far. And I honestly wonder what could happen to like remove some of it that could possibly create more equal and better opportunities for people all across the board. You know?
I think that's something worth exploring because like AI is just a tool, and AI, from what I've experienced, it adapts and it grows and it changes based on the information that you are inputting. So my question isn't necessarily why AI is doing this. I have the question of what is being input into AI, what parameters are being set, and what diagnostics are being run along the way to get to this result where they are weeding out a large swath of Black and Asian individuals from these job markets. I think that we are getting dangerously close to putting AI tools into spaces without actually doing the fucking research into how they are affecting other people, people who are, we're not doing our fucking job when it comes to guardrails and oversight. I've said this on this podcast before. If you're going to use AI tools, put some guardrails and put some oversight into it. You can't just be hands off, hands free, and just let it run amok, because that's how you get fucking Skynet. That's how Terminator Judgment Day happens. That's how you get fucking iRobot. That's how you get AI. The Steven Spielberg thing. I can name like 3 more movies that are based on these AIs. I will say we never saw this aspect in any of those cinematic franchise or in those sci-fi films, but I guarantee you that it was probably AI that prevented any Black people from showing up in the Jetsons. There has never been an episode that I've seen that had a black person in the Jetsons' future. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's all
Now
I'm
I'm
saying.
about to go back and watch the Jetsons.
You can. It's on.
I think you're right though.
It's on TV.
but like no, it's facts what you're saying, because like that is something that is constantly brought up in our town hall meetings about the extensive use and push for AI now. And I don't, you guys know what I do. I don't work in like IT or anything like that, but it even for my job, certain apps and things that we have to use that are like mandatory by company to use are run by AI. And I'm just like, man, like the stuff that is being put in and recorded, and they're like, well, it deletes after a certain amount of does it? It? You know, so like now when I get calls, I'm like, I'm not on flight talking. Like, let me send you. I know email is probably not the safest, but like, nah, because I know if we using it, a lot of places are using it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Final thoughts on this topic. I'm gonna start with Odie.
My final thoughts is that AI could be a tool used to do so many great and amazing things. But we have bad actors in the spaces, which many people, including recently the Pope, have said. And this is what they're talking about. And I just hope that anyone right now, if you're going to law school or you practicing any type of law, get some certifications or classes or whatever on technological civil rights or whatever it might be called, because I think that is going to be something that is coming up big in the future, because we're going to need people who are going to fight against companies and countries and governments using this type of technology to harm people, whether it's physically, financially, emotionally, or whatever the case may be.
Right. Chiquita?
Read the fine print on applications, on these websites, especially social media, whether you are taking part in using any forms of AI, whether it's like Copilot, whether it's everyone's favorite, not mine, but Chat GPT, whatever you're using, please read the fine print, read the disclaimers, because 9 times out of 10, when you check that box, you are agreeing for them to use your information for however they find fit. I always see videos on social media where people will tell you how to go in and turn certain things off, because these apps will turn them on, automatically for you. But just be very cautious when you are speaking to anyone, whether it's from your insurance company, doctor's offices, and different things. You have the right to ask, are these calls being recorded? How are they being recorded? How is my information being withheld? Ask questions. Like, I beg of you, and if you are a person that is using it, just be careful, but read the fine print and disclaimers.
Maurice?
Absolutely. For me, don't blame the tool. Blame the people behind the tool. Blame the people using the tool and utilizing the tool. Question why this tool is working in this way. There's cause and effect. A tool is only useful based on how it's wielded, and it's based on the wielder. A hammer can be used to build a house. It can also be used to poke somebody's eye out, or worse, or anything in between. So just question the individuals behind the tool. And that has been our pop topics.
When you want a hot meal without a big deal, what are you gonna pick?
Pop topics. But here's the real deal. Here's what the thing is, y'all. We are mad. We are upset. We're frustrated. We're flummoxed. We're pissed. We're annoyed.
I can't keep up with the emotions.
We're fucking angry. Okay? And we have a right to be. It is time for We Big Mad.
Bringing it. What? We gripe, yeah. We're not griping anywhere else. We gripe, yeah. This takes place for us to share. We gripe, yeah. ain't griping anywhere else. We gripe here.
That is a drop that was recorded by me.
It was.
That's my favorite one of the night.
With a pitched up voice. We are gonna start with Odie. Set the tone, set the pace. What's making you big mad?
All right, two things. One of them is pretty small. The other one is not. The first one, Taylor fucking Swift.
Oh,
How dare you? I understand you want to marry this Travis Kelce man. But did you have to pick the worst spot in New York City on a holiday weekend to do your nuptials? If I had the money that you have, do you know what beautiful, amazing places I would have picked in New York City? The library, the American History Museum, the cloisters, the entirety of Central Park. So many places, beautiful places. As Aretha once said, beautiful gowns. And you went and picked Madison fucking Square Garden to block things off for people who just want to fucking go to where they gotta go. So one, that's the first thing that I'm mad at. Also, Madison Square Garden is not conceptually a beautiful place. Two, I want all men to really and truly think about their baggage. Think about how their actions impact others, and to go talk to the lady. Because over the course of my life, there have been way too many men who have chosen themselves, their wants, their needs, their emotions over the safety and sanctity of me, myself, and I. And so I need you all to do the work yourselves, to figure out your shit, and to get it together.
Agreed.
That's it.
Chiquita, what's making you big mad?
I felt that last one. What's making me big mad right now? A lot of things, unfortunately. A lot of things. But I think one thing, if I had to choose one thing, it would be the fact that this current administration is continuing to lie, as they do every single day. More specifically now, lie about the fact that Mitch McConnell, Mitch, we can't even get his last name out. Big Mitch may not no longer be here with us. And I seen specifically last night that they were on Twitter saying that, oh yeah, I just talked to him for about 20 minutes. But then no one has actually seen the man in about 3 weeks. And then his wife fled to China, allegedly. Then his daughter all of a sudden deleted all her social medias, and they're saying that he is still here. I don't buy it, because the 911 call said that somebody was unresponsive and CPR had been rendered and all of the things. And yeah, we've seen Mitch these last few years, and Mitch didn't even see himself. Okay. He just did not look good. So I wish that you could just start telling the truth beyond Mitch. But yes, I don't know why that just been like pissing me off so much, because like, golly, just let it go. But yeah, it's making me angry. Sorry.
You don't ever have to apologize for being angry on this podcast, and also just in this world, in this space. If you are black and angry, that is okay. We do not do identity politics. We ain't some old motherfuckers who are like, oh, like you can't be angry because like when you're angry, they hurt you, even though when you're not angry, they hurt you. And when you're doing nothing, they hurt you. So it doesn't matter. Like, you know what I mean? Like we are allowed to be angry.
Yes, well, I appreciate that safe space. Yes, but please be honest with the people. Oh, and I have one more thing. It's going to be quick. I promise you.
Go for it.
I promise you, because it was recently and it just triggered me again. Yes, someone today called me a nosy broad. And I laugh now. And I think it's one of the like uncomfortable laughs because it was in a professional space. But as Odie said, she need y'all men, because there was a man that said it. It actually was a white man that said it, which made it 10 times worse. I need y'all to go sit on that couch, but I also need y'all to be mindful of the things that you say to people, because they could have a variety of meanings. Because when he said it in to defend himself, it wasn't a way to say it to be like nasty to me. But from where I come from, that's an offensive word. Like the offensive phrase, not a word, because you remove the broad, you put another word there, you know? So just be mindful that terminologies nowadays, they have different meanings. You can use some phrases or words as a way of endearment, but some people, it means offensive things.
Absolutely. I'm going to make it two things. I may make the first thing quick. The second thing might be a little bit longer. Bear with me. First thing, words mean things. Language has a meaning. Words have meaning. And also, math is very important. And math means things. I'm not a mathematician. I'm not the greatest when it comes to math. I didn't fail at math when I was in school. But I also like understand that there are mathematical concepts that exist. So when someone sees and says the framework of 100% chance, I look at that and I think, oh, that's not the same thing as 100% certainty, because 100% certainty is not the same thing as 100% chance or 100% probability. If something is 100%, I completely understand how that could be confusing. But when it's paired with the word chance, that's a different meaning entirely. 100% chance is not the same thing as 100% certainty. Therefore, if it says 100% chance, that doesn't mean that it's a fucking guarantee. That's all I'm going to say. And I'll leave it at that. The second thing, and I'm going to be honest and transparent, this is less of a mad thing and more of a sad thing. And I'm going to look at the camera as I say this. To anybody who sees this, who needs to hear this, if you are operating under the assumption that your pain does not matter, or if you're specifically operating under the ideology that nobody cares about your pain, I would challenge you to answer these two questions. Does your pain matter to you? And are you nobody? Even if you find half of those two questions inaccurate, if you say yes to one of those, then the statement, nobody cares about your pain, is inaccurate, and you should work from there. To the very specific person who I hope is hearing this, somebody cares about your pain because you care about your pain. And somebody cares about your pain because other people who are important to you, and more importantly, who you acknowledge are important to you, but even more importantly, who you are important to, acknowledge your pain, and you are somebody. I hate that I had to dedicate part of my podcast and my platform to even addressing this, but it is important that this gets to the right eyes, plural, and the right person, singular. I care about you. Your pain is real to me. You are somebody. So if you are out there, singular, plural, whoever, thinking under this mindset that nobody cares about my pain, you are wrong if you care about your pain. You're wrong if you're somebody. And you are definitely wrong if you are somebody who cares about your pain. And to the very specific person who I hope sees this, you are wrong when you say that nobody cares about your pain, because you care about your pain. You are somebody. I care about your pain, and I am somebody. And that's what's making me really big mad, but also really depressing sad. But we don't end on sad notes on this podcast. And sure, I'll do the drop real quick.
Bring it. What?
That's enough of that. We always end on a positive note with the things that are making us happy. And boy, oh boy, I'm so glad that my old friend from Baltimore has never had the opportunity to listen to my drops.
I'm the baby merchant. Chops are us. I give you all the service and no damn fuss. Give the baby merchant just a week or two. I love your baby for you.
Who wants to begin?
Chiquita.
I just spent energy in that last segment.
Chiquita.
Oh my goodness.
What's
How do
making you happy this week?
I bounce back from that one? Baby, I had to hold back tears, you know? Well, before I even get into what makes me happy, I do want to just take a few seconds of my time about what makes me happy to first acknowledge both of you for continuing to hold space for me and for others. I appreciate this opportunity. This opportunity has made me happy. It has been very heart-filling. And I hope that you guys will allow me to continue to be that vessel, that friend to pour into y'all in any way that I can. Just got my number. Just please use me as a resource. So you guys make me happy. For one, I will say that. What has made me happy within this past week, besides just being grateful to just push through and see another day, despite whatever I may have gone on, despite the things that may be going on in the world, you know, all the tragedies. Something that has recently made me happy was seeing the Aaliyah tribute at the Essence. It's not being talked about enough. If you were around on the era, because I feel like Aaliyah in herself was an era, an unmatched era. I can't even think of, no offense to any of the R&B girlies, no offense to my good sis, our good sis Beyonce. Aaliyah is just alone in her own vessel, you know? So we all knew that the tribute was happening, and I think Essence is actually the first platform to have done a tribute for her. To just wake up, I think it was Monday, to just see all of the love, the amazing job that the artists did, Chloe, Normani, Maya, Seven Streeter. I feel like I'm missing somebody.
There's a lot of them.
It was a lot. That was a lot.
But they did a very amazing job. It was kind of just like they just brought her, you know, into them in that moment. And so that made me really happy. It's midweek and I'm still watching the clips from it. You know, I'm still reminiscing being in my mama's basement learning the moves to rock the boat, and I wasn't even supposed to be rocking anything at that age. But like, yeah, it's just like it was a whole nostalgic moment in a sense. So it's continuing to make me happy despite anything that I may have going on. Just watching those clips continue to pop up.
Well, I love it.
Absolutely.
Mo?
What's making me happy, if I'm being honest? One, as I always say, doing this podcast with you. You're a dope ass partner. This is the longest project I've ever worked on. There's a bit of somberness to this, but I'm happy to be alive and safe and uninjured. So that's something I'm happy for. I'm also happy to have reconnected to one of my oldest friends. Like, Chiquita, you're awesome. And for a long time, for a long stretch, I always said that the first friend that I had from my quote unquote origins was from my freshman year of college, just because I didn't hear or have continuing relationships from my actual origins, which was back in Baltimore. But I am glad that we were able to reconnect, and we do talk outside of this fucking podcast all the fucking time, actually. And it means the world to me that you are, in my life, and I am grateful to be in your life, and I'm grateful that we've been able to reconnect. And in the grand scheme of things, past weekend wise, I'm happy to have spent a lot of quality time with Bailey, the dog. He's awesome. He's great. And, whatever happens with him, he was a great dog. And also my cousins and my uncle and my aunt. That was a fun thing that happened over the weekend. Oh, my bad. I'm missing something. My mom and my sister as well. I said what I said.
All right. So yeah, what made me happy this weekend? Well, what has made me happy this week? Number one, Chiquita, thank you so much for joining us on this podcast. You are such a special person, and I'm so glad to have met you and got to know you. And then, of course, being able to do this podcast with you always, it's the best thing that I've ever done. And you have made that possible, and you make it possible every week, and you help make it better all the time. So I really appreciate that. And I look forward to everyone getting to see all the cool things that you've worked on, that we have in the pipeline. And I'm grateful to have gotten to spend the time with the family that you have mentioned, and also being able to spend time with my best friend, because I haven't seen her in quite some time. So it was really great. And yeah, that was it.
All right. That's everything that's making us happy.
I'm the baby merchant. Tots are up.
Chiquita, thank you for being on the show. Where can people find you, and what would you like to plug?
Sure. So again, thank you both for having me. I was envisioning myself squeezing right in between y'all, because you guys have invited me into your extended family. So when y'all see them, just think of me, okay? I'll be right there. But no, thank you, again, for inviting me to your platform, to introducing me to your audience. This has been so much fun. But yes, if you guys want to come follow along, check out some of my episodes. You can tap in at Chronicles of a Virgo Podcast on any of your streaming platforms, your Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Pandora. You can even go snag me on YouTube, and I'm on all of your social medias at Chronicles of a Virgo Podcast.
All right. Sounds good. We want to thank everybody for watching, everybody for enjoying, especially Kita for being on the show. If that's everything, then that's everything. Take it easy. Keep it sleazy. We will be back next week with more of this. But until next time, bye.
Thanks for listening, nerds.
Keep the show growing. Listen, comment, and download on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, or watch full episodes on YouTube.
Follow the show at Black and Snurdy.
Follow me at Licorice is Legit.
Find me at thatsod_E on Twitter and at thatsod.e on Instagram.
This is the Black and Snurdy Podcast,
where nerds of a feather flock together.